You just voted to do it.
Y'all did it first, so you don't want to talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at, calm down. Calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do. So I'm trying to get
Miss
clarification.
Crockett, you're not recognized. Miss Crockett.
I can't hear you with your yelling.
Don't want
calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk noise and then
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Chairman,
come and talk shit about her, y'all gonna have a problem.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, Chair. Okay. Order. Chair now recognizes Miss Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds. 4 minutes. Let Miss Green talk, and then I'll recognize.
I move to strike her words for a second time based on her second set of personal remarks attacking another member.
Who? Chairman Comer.
Because you all cannot
I have an
seem
amendment at
to
the desk,
apply
and this
the rules
sideshow
of the
needs to
committee.
stop.
We have to do this every time.
Hey, I'm recognized. I'm recognized. I'm going to go ahead and start talking.
Look, I know. Look, I don't know if you've noticed it. I have 2 hearing aids. I'm very deaf. I'm not understanding. Everybody's yelling. I'm doing the best I can. Can we not recognize Ms. Green and let her
We cannot because of the rules of the committee, Mr. Chair. That is what I'm trying to communicate in the present moment.
We have a okay, what's the motion? What's
the motion?
He absolutely unleashes on her, calls her an evil scumbag and degenerate or a see you next Tuesday. And she is a fucking evil scumbag. She is a degenerate. Can't understand normal thinking. Yeah, let's go with that. She is burning everything down and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And yes, you're right to assume these harsh words were to be directed towards the ghetto queen, but in fact, no, as these slurs blasted by Tim Pool were being hurled in Candace Owens' direction.
Candace Owens is a f***ing evil scumbag. She is a degenerate cunt. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you f***ing told me? She has no security. She doesn't f***ing deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer, and all of these f***ing conservatives out there that send me these f***ing messages have no f***ing balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these f***ing messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't f***ing DM me like I did something for you as you cower, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which she's doing to me right f***ing now.
She too, apparently, now a Trump hater as well, I guess, or whatever narrative gets her paid more or the most, draws in more subscribers and sponsors, or just continues to trigger MAGA and fuel the fire for a petty fight against TPUSA and Erica Kirk. The true reasoning for her latest actions and words, I don't know for sure. Some say it's postpartum or menopausal or something like that, but we'll have to dive down that deep and dark rabbit hole some other day, if ever, because today, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. And yet again, and in today's show, we shall expose the left's endless hypocrisy, bias, and straight up ass clownery as it relates to a one Ms. Jasmine, no more bad built butch blonde body bitch Crockett, and her newly announced campaign run for a Texas Senate seat. I think, or I guess that's what this is.
Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is getting into the Texas Democratic primary for the U.S. Senate with the help of President Trump. Well, here's her new campaign launch video.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas, and you want to know how much star power she has? Well, the guy who was the front runner in the Democratic primary race for this seat in Texas, he dropped out because of this.
Jasmine's a friend of mine, and we've served together, and I've known her since before we were both, in elected office. But it was about the fact that with 3 strong candidates running, that we would certainly have a runoff. And I felt that was not in the interest of the folks who had come up to me, tell me their stories, who would open themselves up.
Okay, so why does this matter? This is a marquee Senate race. It's in Republican hands. Senator John Cornyn is the incumbent GOP senator. He's in a primary race of his own. He's being challenged by Ken Paxton. And on the Democratic side, their hope, they're doing a lot of this, is that Ken Paxton will win that Republican primary because they think he is more beatable in a general election. Will Jasmine Crockett be the one to win the primary and to be a Democrat who will finally turn a GOP seat blue? Who knows? But it's definitely something that the Democrats behind the scenes have been trying to game out. And it's also part of the domino effect of the Supreme Court decision last week that gave a green light to the redistricting, the map that Republicans drew mid-decade because President Trump told them to try to get 5 more seats in the House of Representatives. And so what the Democrats have been doing in Texas is to say, okay, we know that it's probable that there will be 5 new Republican seats, but maybe if we position our stars, Democratic stars, in ways that we can try to pull back at 1 or 2 of them, maybe it's possible. Colin Allred is a former NFL star. He was in the House of Representatives before, and he is known statewide because he ran and lost for the Senate against Ted Cruz. So there is a hope that that race is going to help with the balance of power. So we're talking about the balance of power in 2 ways, in the Senate and in the House.
Are you committing to releasing the full video?
Didn't I just tell you that?
What a sad sound and sight. Dana Bash and CNN are helping to promote Democrat Representative Jasmine Crockett's bid for Senate in Texas. But maybe the saddest part about this segment is that Dana Bash actually refers to Crockett as a star, when we all know she's a low IQ thug who literally assaulted a journalist physically and verbally.
Constant claims that Jasmine Crockett's exactly what we need in these trying times. Jasmine Crockett's a real fighter. And of course, Jasmine herself was playing directly into that. She kind of developed the strategy, it seems like. This new age Democrat strategy that Gavin Newsom even tried emulating. But while it works with their base, I don't think it works so well with, regular people. People without blue hair and septum rings. People with brains, eyeballs, and ears. Because while the left sees Jasmine Crockett as an incredible tough fighter and brilliant legal mind, we see her for exactly what she is. She's a vulgar, appealing to the lowest common denominator, ghetto panderer. This whole fake ghetto queen persona, which honestly at this point, considering the absolutely insane low IQ that she says, at this point, I don't even know if it's really an act anymore. But anyways, the point is pretty simple here. She's an utter frickin' embarrassment. I mean, here she is just the other day attempting to explain away her false accusation that Lee Zeldin and others took money from Jeffrey Epstein. She confused, of course, Jeffrey Epstein, the child human trafficker, with Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, just some random Jewish doctor.
You talked about Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said.
Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Do you want to correct the record on the people that
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. When you make a donation, your picture is not there. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. Number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein.
And look at that. Is that not the biggest insult to your intelligence? She knows she's been caught. She knows she's dishonest, and yet she doubles down and attempts to come up with this ridiculously stupid, half-baked excuse and pivot. Jasmine Crockett thinks you're as dumb as she is. But while that might be true for most blue ain't on deep blue voters, I don't think that's true for most people.
And although I'm not a huge fan of Caitlin Collins, I do feel for her, and having to sit so close and come into direct contact with such a moron, it seems. But you all heard what she said. And if anyone believes the ghetto queen, then dare I say they are quite possibly dumber than even she is. But as always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help a lot. And if you're one of my loyal conservative Republican MAGA friends, then you already know we thrive on the left's outrage porn that keeps the fire burning, the kind that reminds us why the Democrats and their media lapdogs are nothing but a parade of frauds, grifters and losers like Dana Bash, Caitlin Collins, but we mustn't forget the Ilhan Omars and Tim Walz of the woke liberal progressive world. We will catch back up on them soon, but today we're diving deep into the nightmare unfolding for one of the left's most embarrassing stars, Jasmine Crockett. And I honestly can't say those words. And I honestly can't say those words without laughing a little bit. I actually saw this meme today from Jim Insider replying to Clown World, and it's this one here of a black scientist holding up a beaker or a test tube of pure retardium. And I think that's what they're all drinking now. Or maybe that's what was laced in with all those boosters they kept getting, because it's the only thing that even seems to remotely make sense as it relates to what's coming out of the left these days.
All right, Sandra Crockett's potential opponents may be keen to use her own words against her on that campaign. Here's a look at some of Jasmine Crockett's greatest hits.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. This ridiculous tyrant is trying to do everything that he can to break our democracy.
It's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard.
The Timu Hitler in the White House right now that thinks that he is going to become the dictator of the United States.
All right, let's bring in former National Press Secretary for the National Republican Senatorial Committee, T.W. O'Regan, and former Biden Director of Message Planning, Megan Hayes. Left out of that was the one where she said, well, somebody slap me and wake me the F up. Thought that was a classic. So the Senate, Megan, is known as the Great Cooling Pond.
And Jasmine is known as a low IQ person and is now being known for viral clashes with Republicans and having launched her 2026 Senate bid with a video montage of President Trump's repeated low IQ insults toward her, positioning the attacks as a badge of honor to rally anti-Trump voters. The video, initially unlisted on YouTube, appears to have been accidentally exposed, leading to its rapid spread on X, where posts are reaching over 100,000 views and hundreds of mocking replies highlighting the ironic self-own, with many questioning if it was even real, which perhaps maybe this is just some internal sabotage from some staffers that just don't like her ass. But others convinced and saying this is the type of campaign video only a low IQ person would approve of.
Fit in with that metaphor. So the Senate, Megan, is known as the Great Cooling Pond to the House. And I'm wondering, how does Jasmine Crockett and her personality and the way she comports herself fit in with that metaphor? She doesn't exactly scream cooling pond.
I think that's what she is now, and being a fighter against Trump for her district, and I think that's what her district needs. That's also what the Democratic Party is looking for. People are going to push back against Trump. But I do think that Texas is an interesting place, and she'd definitely bring in some more livelihood to the Senate, which might be good for them. Wake them up.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott doesn't think she stands a chance. Here's what he tweeted out. He said, Jasmine Crockett is about to learn the hard way that most Texans are very different from her district, her base, and her values. She'll be pummeled for her progressive socialist agenda and get crushed by the Republican nominee for Senate. The Texas political cemetery is filled with blowhards like her who have no idea what it's like to run statewide. Looking forward to watching the circus and keeping the U.S. Senate seat red. On the bright side for her, maybe she'll end up with a job on The View. I mean, we know how Texas has voted historically, but, you know, you throw a wild card like Jasmine Crockett in and you never know what's going to happen.
I think Governor Abbott hit the nail on the head there. Look, this inflammatory, vulgar act she's been putting on for the last several months to years is all manufactured to get her name more attention nationally. We know that, but that is the exact opposite playbook that will work in a race in Texas. If the Democrats thought they had a chance to beat Ken Paxton, if that is your nominee, Jasmine Crockett, Ken Paxton's going to be the next senator from Texas. If he should win the primary, hopefully it's John Cornyn. But I find it vulgar. I find much of what she does to be a manufactured act. You can go find videos of her from previously. She doesn't sound anything like she does now. It's all made up. It's garbage. She's a godsend to Republicans.
All right, so tell us.
That's right. The Texas congresswoman who's been playing the role of a ghetto queen while raking in campaign cash for luxury hotels and limos. And if we all just look at the latest, and Dallas County records show Representative Jasmine Crockett has an unpaid lien of over $3,000 on her luxury condo for overdue HOA fees, filed back in April of 2024 and still outstanding as of early December 2025. The notice straight up says she's failed and refused to pay despite demands, blocking her from selling or transferring the property. Now, mind you, I would be remiss if I failed to mention how others like Christian Collins, who is a conservative fighter who says he is shaped by faith and focused on defending the values that make Texas strong, has pointed out the facts and that Jasmine Crockett makes $174,000 a year in Congress. But that is compared to the average Texan who makes only $52,885 per year. But meanwhile, Crockett says she doesn't get enough money. Oh, and remember, Jasmine has passed 0 bills while in Congress, but that's neither here nor there.
The hog right now. And for a woman who is openly flirting with trying to run for Texas Senate seat against Senator either John Cornyn or whoever comes out of that primary, you are seeing a woman who's not spending an awful lot of time in Texas. That whole list of places she's been living high on the hog, I didn't see anything mentioning Dallas or Houston
Up in an
or
Amarillo.
Laredo or Amarillo. Right. She's all across the country making sure that she is getting taken care of, that her nails look fabulous, and that she is sounding off however she wants to.
Yet, meanwhile, her campaign blew nearly $75,000 this year alone on lavish hotels, limo rides, and private security in places like the Ritz-Carlton, West Hollywood Edition, Las Vegas Resorts, Martha's Vineyard Inns, New York, Chicago, and San Francisco, all far from her Dallas district. That's donor money footing the bill for 5-star treatment while she stiffs her own condo association on a few $1,000 in basic fees.
I want to get to this because it's just so dumb. Jasmine Crockett. She's so dumb. Here she is in SOP 4. Let's listen.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all.
Oh my God. She's talking about Dr. Jeffrey Epstein who made those donations, her crack team. Predators, no. That if she didn't. She's too dumb to be just so dumb.
All right, y'all, let's hit pause for a second because this matters and it's really important. We talk a lot on this channel about taking control of your life, making smart choices, and not letting the system overwhelm you. But when it comes to navigating Medicare, it can feel like you're wading through a swamp of total confusion. Plans, coverage, costs, deadlines, you name it. And that's where Chapter steps in. They're not just another company. They're the real deal when it comes to free Medicare help. Chapter's team of advisors has helped thousands of people across the country find the right Medicare plan, and they do it with one goal in mind: putting you first. No fees, no pressure, just honest guidance to make sure you're covered without breaking the bank. Big insurance companies have their own agendas, but Chapter's got your back, fighting to get you the plan that works for you. So if you're approaching Medicare age or helping a loved one figure it out, don't go it alone. Call Chapter today at 270-467-2426 and start getting the clarity you deserve. Because at the end of the day, protecting your health and your wallet, well, that's not just smart. It's living life on your terms. And so now, as of yesterday, December 8th, she's officially launched her U.S. Senate campaign against John Cornyn. Talk about tone-deaf hypocrisy, preaching to working families while living large on their contributions and skipping her own bills. This is exactly why people are fed up with out-of-touch politicians. And speaking of out-of-touch politicians, look no further than New York City's new mayor-elect, the self-proclaimed affordability champion and trending Democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani. But here he is, fresh off his win, facing an immediate test. And so you see, the city council is pushing through a bill for hefty 16% pay raises for themselves and other elected officials, bumping council members up to $172,500 and the mayor's salary to around a cool $300,000. This lands on Mamdani's desk right as he takes office, but if he signs it, he's handing more money to the political class while everyday New Yorkers struggle with skyrocketing costs. However, if he vetoes, he risks angering the council he needs to work with from day one. Classic dilemma for someone who campaigned on making life affordable for working families, but apparently not for the ruling elite. Indeed. And it gets even more revealing with his transition team appointments because, folks, you just can't make this shit up anymore. But Mamdani has appointed a convicted armed robber to his public safety transition team. And let me repeat that. Let me say it again and a little bit louder with heavy emphasis here. Mamdani appoints convicted armed robber Mason Lennon to the Committee on the Criminal Legal System. Lennon, a 49-year-old rapper, served 7 years in state prison after a 1999 conviction for 2 felony armed robberies involving taxi drivers. Now, he's helping shape NYC's policies on crime and policing.
Sway, the day's getting dark again, the dogs starting to bark again, the young boys beefing, they shooting all in the park again.
If you voted for this terrorist loser, I want you to know that I'm judging you. I'm judging your intellectual capabilities, or lack thereof. Mamdani, I don't even know how to read this with a serious face. Okay, so he has appointed Mason Lennon to his mayoral transition team's Committee on the Criminal Legal System, which focuses on advising on public safety and criminal justice policies ahead of his inauguration. Lennon is a 49-year-old rapper who served 7 years in prison after being convicted of 2 felony armed robberies involving taxi drivers.
A little baby just got outlined the chalk again. I'm sitting praying that they don't turn me to a shark again.
He appointed a convicted felon of armed robbery to advise. Okay.
Please, cause the devil is busy. They spending so much, I'm dizzy. Please, God, forgive me, but I refuse
This
to be
isn't his
oppressed.
only
So all the
embarrassing
disrespect,
appointment that I am judging his voters and supporters on. He appointed Tamika Mallory to the Committee on Community Safety, except Tamika Mallory, she's like totally anti-Semitic, and I'm not just saying that. She also advocates for defund the police and said, one day we can abolish law enforcement entirely, and she's advising on community safety. It's not the end.
Yes, cause I'm not gonna fail when the war is on, and I'm not gonna chill. These cowards destroying the culture. They not gonna build.
He appointed Abby Steen, who's a transgender rabbi and activist, who was removed from a Biden White House Pride event for her anti-Israel chants. She's linked to groups accused of extremism, and she's also in charge of community engagement. She's like radical.
Talking all this murder one shit, you not gonna kill. Ain't got no skill or nothing, just running your mouth.
It's not over. He appointed Ramzi Kassen for legal policy advisory. He was a law professor and lawyer who represented Al-Qaeda suspects convicted in 1998 U.S. embassy bombings.
Till you run up on a nigga, do you run in his mouth? It's something about this internet to give a coward courage.
He supports Al-Qaeda terrorists, like defends them in court, because he thinks it's the right thing to do.
Till they get 6'9" and then they be embarrassed, but I'm just here to flourish.
He recommended Aber Kawas as his New York State Assembly's replacement, where she described 9/11 as and I quote, a terror attack that a couple people did, and blamed it on capitalism and racism and white supremacy. She openly supports terrorists. Okay. See why I'm judging?
This brother is deep. See, I always been the wolf. I couldn't blend with the sheep.
Wow. That's so embarrassing. These appointments that are being made by Mamdani that expose the radical direction he's heading. Tamika Mallory on the Committee on Community Safety, a vocal defund the police advocate who has said herself, one day we can abolish law enforcement entirely. Ramzi Kassan on legal and policy advisory, a CUNY law professor who represented Guantanamo Bay detainees, including Al-Qaeda suspects like Ahmed Ghalani, convicted in 1998 U.S. embassy bombings, and Abby Stein on community engagement, a transgender rabbi and activist who was removed from a 2023 Biden White House Pride event for anti-Israel chants and is linked to groups accused of extremism. Aber Kawas, though primarily in state assembly, tied to similar circles, and described 9/11 as a terror attack that a couple of people did, blaming it on capitalism and racism and white supremacy, and expressed solidarity with Muhammad al-Hindi, convicted of providing services to Palestinian Islamic Jihad. But on top of all that, Mamdani recently sat down for an interview with self-described friendly queer Jew, he/they influencer Matt Bernstein, where he declared, and I quote, "We're going to make this a city that doesn't just protect trans kids, but also celebrates and cherishes them too." This in the context of pushing expansive policies on gender-affirming care, including for minors.
Zoran, congratulations on starting your transition.
Thank you very much.
What would you like to say to trans kids out there who might be starting their transition?
Well, while these may be different transitions, we're going to make this a city that doesn't just protect trans kids, but also celebrates and cherishes them.
And we are wishing everyone who wants to transition a smooth enough and exciting transition to be just like Zoran. I guess. I don't know.
They want transgender for everybody transgender.
But when you add it all up, appointing radicals, ex-cons to public safety roles and prioritizing these agendas while claiming to fight for working people, it's clear. Mamdani and his crowd are the epitome of out-of-touch elites who hate what made America great. This is the hypocrisy that's driving people away from the Democrat machine. Oh, well, that and, of course, more tent cities.
Homeless encampments are going to be allowed under the Mamdani administration. The mayor-elect says he's going to halt a policy put in place by Mayor Eric Adams to break up those encampments. Adams instituted the policy not long after taking office when homeless people were being linked to crime. As a result, police were instructed to cite people for quality of life violations and break up the encampments.
Connecting those New Yorkers to housing, whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing it is. If you are not connecting homeless New Yorkers to the housing that they so desperately need, then you cannot deem anything you're doing to be a success.
Mamdani also says people will not be involuntarily committed except in the rarest of circumstances.
So Mamdani's first order of business is to give himself and the rest of the elite class of his transition team tremendous boosts in wages, earnings, and income to further prey on young children, specifically targeting and attacking against Jewish kids with woke ideology and transgender messaging and mind warping and altering psychedelics, and then to unleash the tent city encampments that are known to breed more crime in the city. And you know what? It's just funny because I don't think most people really understood the sarcasm Trump delivered when he said, after the first and possibly only White House and Oval Office visit by Mamdani, and how CNN or Politico or whichever one, what have you, said Trump predicts Mamdani will be really great mayor for NYC. Just like how President Trump and his so-called hot mic moment and that sarcastic masterclass he dropped on Zohran Mamdani. And folks, I want to read this to you exactly as it went down because it ties everything together perfectly. The rhinos blocking Trump, the irony of Mamdani getting praised, and how the radical left is handing us the biggest gift for 2026. And so you see, ladies and gentlemen, Trump doesn't get caught on hot mics. He says what he means, always has, and never walks anything back. An admirable trait and philosophy I tried my best to live by. And so the recent rant about Senate Republicans and Chuck Grassley letting Democrats stonewall his U.S. attorney picks with that outdated blue slip tradition, and how 7 U.S. attorneys are about to lose their jobs because his own party won't fight back. And trust me, folks, Trump wanted everyone to hear that. And so let's look at the bigger picture and the irony of Trump calling Mamdani a really great mayor after warning the whole campaign that electing him would destroy New York City. And how the left's terrible choices like Mamdani, Jasmine Crockett, all of them are going to backfire so hard that we just get to sit back and say, let them speak. Just like we did with AOC. President Trump, he's always been direct, unfiltered, and rarely, if ever, walks back what he says, even in moments that get labeled as hot mic slips by the left. All for attention and to try and gain clicks. But the recent incident last night or yesterday perfectly illustrates this. And so you see, after a roundtable event where he discussed farmer aid and stimulus boosts, money coming to the farmers, by the way, Trump was caught on a hot mic venting about the Senate's blue slip tradition blocking his U.S. attorney appointments, including the fallout from Alina Habba's forced resignation as acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey after courts ruled her appointment unlawful due to procedural issues and Democratic opposition. But let me be clear when I say, he didn't whisper it secretly or pretend later on it was off the record. He was openly furious, calling out Senator Chuck Grassley by name and saying things like, you've got a blue slip thing that's horrible. It makes it impossible to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney, and the Republicans should be ashamed of themselves that they allowed this to go on. He even name dropped Grassley directly, saying, and I quote, I hope that somebody speaks to Senator Grassley about doing something about the blue slip. End quote. Now, folks, this wasn't an accidental exposure of some hidden thought. Trump has been publicly hammering this exact issue for months on Truth Social, in interviews, and to reporters, demanding the end of blue slips because Democrats used them to block his picks in blue states while Republicans don't play the same hardball. And trust me, folks, President Trump isn't shy, and he says what he wants and he means what he says.
The people from different countries that are not friendly to us and countries that are out of control themselves. Countries like Somalia that have virtually no government, no military, no police. All they do is go around killing each other. Then they come into our country and tell us how to run our country. We don't want them. What are you talking You got to talk up.
She said how many countries? Is there a list?
Well, I guess we gave you 19, right? There's probably more than that.
Is that what you mean when you mean third world countries, those 19?
No, I don't think they're all third world, but in many cases they are third world. They're not good countries. They're very crime-ridden countries. They're countries that don't do a good job. They're countries that don't register from the standpoint of success. And we, frankly, don't need their people coming into our country telling us what to do.
When you talk about
I'm talking about like Somalia, where you have a congressman goes around telling everybody about our Constitution, and yet she supposedly came into our country by marrying her brother. Well, if that's true, she shouldn't be a congressman, and we should throw her the hell out of our country.
So, yeah, Trump meant every word for public consumption. He's consistent. No apologies. No, I was misheard. No retreats. Remember the Access Hollywood tape? He addressed it head on without denying intent. Or countless rally comments that the media called Trump is, getting old, or some Trump gaffes that whatever they say. Yet he doubles down. This hot mic rant aligns with his ongoing push to primary rhinos and clear obstructions to his agenda. America first. And as Susie Wiles, his chief of staff and legendary campaign leader, just confirmed in a recent interview, Trump is gearing up to campaign like it's 2024 again for the 2026 midterms, focusing on turning out his voters and targeting those in his own party who stall progress. Rand Paul, yeah, he's talking about you. MTG, not so much anymore now, though, but no, he's not hiding his frustration with establishment Republicans. He's broadcasting it to rally support and force change. Now, tying it to the broader irony, I want to highlight Zohran Mamdani and how Trump spent the NYC mayor race warning that electing a far-left figure like Mamdani would tank the city, calling him extreme and even threatening to withhold federal funds pre-election. Yet, after Mamdani won, beating Andrew Cuomo and others in November, Trump hosted him at the White House. And you know what? It's just funny because I don't think most people really understood the sarcasm Trump delivered when he said at the first and possibly only White House and Oval Office visit by Mamdani, and how CNN or Politico or whoever said Trump praised him effusively and saying, I feel very confident that he can do a good job. Really great mayor. And said they'd agree on more than expected. Well, yeah, the media spun it as Trump being nice or pragmatic, but if we just look a little closer, it's easy for me to see, at least, how this mirrors the signature sarcasm and strategic trolling. Just like predicting Mamdani would be really great, echoing past ironic endorsements that highlight opponents' flaws, it sets up an I told you so moment if progressive policies lead to chaos. Like, I don't know, think higher crime fueled by the return of homeless tent city encampments and more ideological overreach, just as critics like Trump feared or warned. Now, what's this ultimate gift to MAGA? Well, so you see, When far left figures like Mamdani and Jasmine Crockett, who's already launching a fiery Senate bid, and other uber progressives overplay their hand with radical ideas, it exposes the Democrats' shift even further leftward. Republicans can run the let them speak playbook amplified from AOC days, letting their own words and records do the damage. Voters who now immediately regretted choices in deep blue areas will remember handing Trump and America First candidates massive ammunition for 2026. But make no mistake, Trump's directness, hot mic or not, keeps the focus on real obstructions like rhinos protecting outdated traditions while the left's extremes self-destruct. It's classic Trump. Say it loud, mean it, and watch the irony unfold. And then the media and the Democrats melt down. Boom. That's it, folks. Trump doesn't slip up. He sets traps, or really more so, actually, these dumb Dems set their own traps, and Trump just plays them like a fiddle, watching them all slip up and fall in. The rhinos are panicking too. The radical left is overreaching more and more and more, and 2026 is going to be a bloodbath for everyone who's been sabotaging the America First agenda. And perhaps the only thing better, or worse, depending on how you look at it, is the latest insert foot in mouth moment by Jasmine Crockett, the same ghetto queen who said, "There has been no oppression of the white man in this country."
It's because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed, that y'all are the ones that are being harmed.
Wow. And with more than 6 million white men living in Texas, it'll be hilarious to see every single one casting a vote against Crockett's campaign for U.S. Senate. It's like she hates America or something. And you know what? Yeah, that's right. Only traitors help invaders. But the irony here is Jasmine Crockett isn't really trying to help invaders like Mamdani is. And Zoran would have, he'd have to have once been considered an American to be classified a traitor now, right? And he is anything but.
You know, more and more every day, I'm starting to have a real disdain for Jasmine Crockett. She is such an insult to all educated Black women in America. She perpetuates the stereotype of a ghetto Black hood woman, something she is not. Let me tell you something. Jasmine Crockett went to private school, which ultimately means that her parents, her two-parent household, took the time to invest into her education, which ultimately means by geographical fact that your private school was probably somewhere in the suburbs, which 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure she didn't even grow up in the hood. And as a matter of fact, she went to one of the best day schools in St. Louis, actually out of the entire country. Jasmine Crockett has had more privilege than any Black American that I can ever think of. She legit grew up in the suburbs. Mansions. Her tuition alone, per semester or whatever, cost well over $30,000. So why the act? It's a literal case of code switching. Now, I get it. You know, I do a little bit of code switching myself, but see, it's a time and a place for everything. See, all that popping of the neck and batting them long eyelashes. I don't know what this rhetoric that she's trying to perpetuate. I don't know who she's trying to give it to. Being all loud and country. Like, are you trying to, I don't know if you're trying to relate to like your constituents, your black constituents there. I don't know what this is all about, but it's a complete disgrace for you to sit up here and perpetuate and make yourself seem lower class by acting and talking the way that you do, because you wasn't brought up to be that way. Your parents invested in you, and this is the way that you return the favor, by acting ghetto. See, Jasmine Crockett is the reason why black people that live in the hood, such as me, have a hard time, it being accepted that the fact that I'm a real educated black person that live in the hood, because I'm expected to talk ghetto. And here she is, choosing to cosplay. See, that's why Jasmine Crockett is relatable to the nigga population. Niggas love Jasmine Crockett. Why? Because she's relatable. She's also a Democrat. And what is the makeup of the Democratic Party? A whole lot of niggatry. She's trying to relate to her audience. Meanwhile, I see through all of it. So while she's trying to blame Trump for everything, calling him a thug, and etc., her district actually sucks. That's where the focus needs to be on.
Code switching, private schools, suburb grown. Let's start by setting the stage on who Jasmine Crockett really is. Because at this point, maybe she doesn't even know anymore. But this woman bursts onto the scene in Congress back in 2023, representing a DEI-rigged district in Texas that's basically a racial gerrymandering designed to prop up unqualified Dems. She herself even saying how she got the position she had as an attorney or a lawyer. It was not because she was qualified or would be good at her job, but instead simply because she was black.
Jasmine Crockett just made a statement that she is never, ever going to live down. Like, she literally just made herself a meme.
When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy.
Thanks for finally admitting it, Jasmine. I mean, that does explain a lot. Seems like Jasmine's turned over a new leaf. Maybe this is her truth will set me free era. I don't think she thought that through before she said that, but I'm just doing my part, making sure that everybody sees that glorious statement. By the way, this is just for entertainment.
Was black. But from day one, she's been the epitome of left-wing hypocrisy, a so-called civil rights attorney who adopts this fake inner-city accent when needed or necessary, pandering to the lowest common denominator with vulgar rants and race baiting. Do you remember when she called Texas deplorable right after getting elected? Yeah, the same Texas she now wants to represent in the Senate. And how could we all forget? She's the one who confused Jeffrey Epstein, the now dead child trafficker, with some random Jewish doctor named Jeffrey Epstein. Then had the nerve, the audacity to accuse Republicans like Lee Zeldin and Mitt Romney of taking money from him. And when called out, she doubled down with the lamest excuse of, I never said it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Come on. She thinks we're as dumb as she is, and we're not stupid. And let's not forget her AI deepfake obsession, and she pushes fake videos because her real clapbacks flop harder than Kamala's 107-day campaign. More on that in just a minute. Stick with me here, folks, because we're going places. But this is the same woman CNN's Dana Bash calls a star. Yeah, a star. Shit, a star? More like a ghetto thug who assaulted a journalist, and she's an insult to educated black women everywhere, perpetuating stereotypes while grifting off the system. Now, let's draw those relatable ties to past acts of fraud, abuse, convictions, and straight up quitting that you all should love to hate. And to answer the young lady from the hood's question, Jasmine is drowning in political identity. You see, because what makes matters even worse is, look, I want to spell it out for everyone as to who she really is. And so you see, like, Jasmine Crockett is cut from the same cloth as Tiffany Henyard, the disgraced former mayor of Dalton, Illinois, aka the super mayor who turned taxpayer dollars into her own personal piggy bank.
Dalton, Illinois Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who critics call America's worst mayor, lost her Democratic primary by a landslide. But before the results came in, Henyard hinted that a loss may not be the end of her political career.
I might run for something bigger. You never know. I do a ton of good, but y'all just painted me as bad news for 4 years.
Who are those 500 people that voted for her? Money on her nails and hair. She has a security detail now. She's in a little town. They have problem with crime, okay, but she has a four-car motorcade. And I think Bravo would pick her up.
Right. Henyard was accused of scams, schemes, money laundering, and gross abuse of power, which included, like Jasmine, lavish trips, luxury spending, even getting into brawls at board meetings and paying for her own private security. She lost in a landslide, faced multiple lawsuits, and now she's reinventing herself with a fashion line called Tiffany Henyard Apparel, hawking streetwear with mantras like "Feed the People" while investigations swirl around her. Does any of this sound familiar, folks? But honestly, her clothing line should be called Thought instead. But taking her page out of the Democrat playbook, Jasmine Crockett's been caught spending $75,000 of campaign funds on high-end luxury hotels, limousines, and security while screaming to defund the police. And the FEC filings don't lie, folks. Jasmine, of all people, should know that, right? But all she is a privileged upper middle class prima donna who puts on this fake persecuted persona just like Henyard did. But get this, Henyard's now chilling in Atlanta with her boutique, but Crockett, well, she's eyeing the Senate as her next grift. These women have no business in public service, but add Crockett to the list with Ricardo Lara, Karen Bass, Abigail Spanberger, and all the other dim disasters who've been voted out, resigned, or should or canceled for their corruption. Karen Bass, get your ass out of here. Look, it's funny because look, it's just funny because Jasmine Crockett kicks off her Senate campaign run with a rap song, just like Henyard ended her failed career with a song of her own, too.
That there is crazy work. So that's Tiffany Henyard, and she serves as the mayor of Dalton, Illinois.
And remember Fannie or Fannie or whatever, Willis in Georgia, or Lori Lightfoot in Chicago? Fraud after fraud. And then the left keeps elevating them until the house of cards collapses. But here's where it gets really good. The Supreme Court just unleashed nightmare news on Crockett and her ilk. Straight from the liberal hive mind video, which you all should go check out. SCOTUS upheld Texas's redistricting map, backed by Governor Greg Abbott and President Trump. This big, beautiful Texas map is now locked in for the 2026 midterms, adding 5 new Republican seats and officially carving out Crockett's old DEI district. Poof, gone. Yes, folks, the Supreme Court just dropped a bombshell that's carving up her district like a Thanksgiving turkey. And she's desperately scrambling for a Senate seat she has zero chance of winning.
When Texas turns blue, it won't be because of any one candidate, but because of each and every one of you doing your part. Turning Texas blue is what I want to talk to y'all about today. Now, there are those that say, ain't no way, we done tried it 50 kinds of ways. Let me be clear, y'all ain't never tried it the JC way. We used to telling us what I can't do, but they have no idea what Crockett's crew will do. And so I just want to be clear, for all the haters in the back, listen up real loud. We gonna get this thing done. So they tell us that Texas is red. They are lying.
But in case anyone was wondering why all of a sudden she has set her sights on the Senate, it's because she wasn't guaranteed a re-election. And just like Kamala, her campaign strategy is going to be, but Donald Trump, Donald Trump. What a retard. But yeah, so her congressional seat no longer exists, just as the video breaks it down. And Texas is undoing racist gerrymandering under the Voting Rights Act. And the left cried racism to challenge it, which is just, honestly, at this point, it's just too much of the pot calling the kettle black, if you ask me. But the Supreme Court didn't bite. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett nailed it. There was little evidence of race-based redrawing, and the new map corrects constitutional defects. Meanwhile, Governor Abbott celebrated by saying, Texas is officially and legally more red. Hallelujah. And so, well, folks, ladies and gentlemen, this is a victory for Texas voters, for common sense, and for the U.S. Constitution for sure. And just like that, Crockett's little TikTok theater center is shut down. No more automatic re-election in her safe haven. And strategically, this is gold for the GOP. But wait, because the faceless YouTuber, the creator behind the hive mind and the hypocrisy calling out hosts, makes a killer point. And from an entertainment standpoint, it's fun to see her get owned. But strategically, losing her is bad because she's the Dems' biggest liability. They uplifted her as the next Kamala Harris, a transformational talent, a fighter. But to us, she's a vulgar, low IQ embarrassment, appealing to blue-haired weirdos wearing septum piercings while alienating normal people. And just think, what does it say when Kamala Harris endorses you as a Democratic candidate?
We have so many stars in our party. There are so many stars. And let's not be afraid of them. You just look at the range of what we have. So many. Jasmine Crockett, who I just talked to recently. I mean, we have so many stars.
Yeah, not much. Not worth the red wine stained cocktail napkin it was scribbled on. But the irony? She's endorsed by none other than Kamala Harris, the ultimate loser who crashed and burned in 2024. As a drunk, Kamala went on Jon Stewart's podcast and declared Crockett a Democrat Party superstar. Come on, give me a break. But the funniest part is how Crockett took it to heart and convinced herself she could win statewide in Texas. So to that I say, thank you, Kamala, for this. She's the gift that just keeps on giving. Kamala's endorsement is absolutely hilarious, and the woman who couldn't win a single delegate in her own primary is hyping up another grifter. Classic leftist logic and dim mindset. Crockett's now bowing to Trump, saying, Trump, I know you're watching, so let me tell you directly. You're not entitled to a damn thing in Texas. You better get to work because I'm coming for you.
Eyes to the screen, please. Thank you.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man, oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment that we have all been waiting for. The next U.S. Senator from this great state of Texas. Please welcome to the stage, Miss Jasmine Crockett!
Y'all look good. Y'all look real good. But are you fired up? Are you ready to go? All right, Texas, let's get down to it. I know y'all are ready to hear some good news, and some of y'all already heard it before you even got here. Yes, it is true. I am running to become your next United States Senator from the state of Texas. I honestly can't put into words what it means to me.
Ooh, I bet Trump isn't shaking in his boots right now either. And better yet, he's probably laughing his ass off with JD Vance and Marco Rubio because he knows he lives rent-free in Crockett shit's head. She's leaning into her pugnacious anti-Trump rep, using his insults as fuel, or so she thinks. I mean, I guess. But in Texas, where Trump dominates, good luck with that one, honey. She's even comparing herself to Barack Obama, which is hilarious and has to be a joke, right? There was this charismatic young candidate with a funny name who just got to the U.S. Senate. Barack Obama. Yes, we can, she says. Delusional, folks. Just damn delusional is the best and only way I can describe her. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Texans don't want Obama 2.0. They want borders, families, and America first. But Trump was right. He was right about her from the start. Very low IQ person. And now, with her district nuked, she's flailing toward a Senate run against winners like John Cornyn. But be that as it may, last night, Crockett filed to run for U.S. Senate in 2026, right as Colin Allred bailed on his bid after she reportedly asked him to drop out. And as many others have already pointed out, this ghetto piece of trash really thinks Texas is going to send her to the Senate? No, this is going to end up being career-ending for her. But speaking of her Senate bid, oh man, this launch was an utter calamity. And so Christmas came early for us, everyone. The rumors and talking points online and across all my social media feeds right now are savage and spot on. They're all saying how she's just playing a role, baiting race, leveraging Trump and terrible rappers to propel her to Senate. And I don't disagree. One post already even said, Jasmine Crockett uploaded and then quickly deleted her launch video, which was nothing more than a 44-second audio loop of President Trump calling her a low IQ person. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. And another said, Representative Crockett's Senate campaign is off to an interesting start. And unsurprisingly, CNN is helping to promote. But the saddest part, Dana Bash actually refers to Crockett as a star. How much is she getting paid to say this? Or does she just hate Trump and America that damn much? However, she's a low IQ ghetto thug who literally assaulted a journalist, Jasmine that is. And Matt Walsh even said he agrees with her ad, probably sarcastically, but the real fire, low IQ Jasmine Crockett called Texas deplorable when she first joined Congress in 2023. And now she wants to represent it.
In fact, Ms. Perry, I know your organization, the Heritage Foundation, loves Texas. Ooh, they love Texas. They always sending us some nonsense bills that somehow set this country on the wrong trajectory. They send them to Texas. They send them to Florida. Every deplorable state that we can think about, they usually coming out of y'all's think tank.
Folks, make it make sense. Anyone, if you can, because I sure can't. Sometimes I feel like we live in this new bizarro world. It's the new normal. But I find my sanity and continue to maintain consistency to stay grounded with you all here and the talks and the chats and conversations we have here on my podcast every day. But this one here might be the absolute worst I've seen or heard as of late. And Representative Jasmine Crockett says she's open to ending taxes on blacks, but many already pay none. Instead, send checks. Play the clip.
Just this past week, I saw, I don't remember which celebrity, but it was actually a celebrity. And I was like, I don't know that that's not necessarily a bad idea, but I'd have to think through it a lot. One of the things that they propose is black folk not have to pay taxes for a certain amount of time, because then again, that puts money back in your pocket. But at the same time, it may not be as objectionable to some people about actually giving out dollars. But obviously then you start dealing with the different tax brackets and things like that. And that's one of the reasons that, you know, we argue the reparations make sense, because so many black folk, not only do you owe for the labor that was stolen and killed and all the other things, right? But the fact is, like, we end up being so far behind, right? And so it's like, how do you bring forth people? Exactly. And so it's like, if you do the no tax thing for people that are already, say, struggling and aren't really paying taxes in the first place, it doesn't really exactly.
They may want those checks like they got during
COVID.
Exactly.
What? This is economically illiterate, race-based pandering. That's all it is. Every time a black Democrat wants to run, they want to introduce reparations. Look, with the big question now being asked, who believes this shit anymore, really? And if you're a black person who's going to vote for this because you think you're going to get some free money, man, I got a bridge to sell you, you know? But again, the big question being asked now, which is, Jasmine, how will she win Trump supporters? I mean, obviously she can't, but her response is as to be expected. And she says, I don't know that we'll necessarily convert all of Trump's supporters. That's not our goal.
How will you make voters who previously have voted for Trump, particularly given that you have been an outspoken critic and he has inserted himself, just take your campaign video as is. He has inserted himself at every turn when it comes to your commentary. How will you convert those who are supportive of him to voters for you?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll necessarily convert all of Trump supporters. That's not our goal.
Do you need to?
Our goal is to definitely talk to people. No, we don't. We don't need to. Our goal is to make sure that we can engage people that historically have not been talked to, because there's so many people that get ignored, specifically in the state of Texas. Listen, the state of Texas is 61% people of color. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of good folk that we can talk to. We know that when Beto came really close, Beto, who is a progressive, we know that he got 65% of the Latino vote. So what did they do after that? They specifically went after Latinos. We know that he got close to 90% or right there at 90% of the African American vote. So honestly, what we need to do is start talking to the vast majority of Texas. I think my message is very much a mainstream message. I don't know who disagrees with the fact that affordability is a real thing, except for the president, who says it's a Democratic hoax. But when somebody goes to the grocery store nowadays, whether it's in East Texas or whether it's right here in Dallas, Texas, or whether it's in Austin or West Texas, let me tell you, they are looking at those grocery prices and they are thinking we deserve better. Knowing that we do the amount of trade that we do in the state of Texas, yet right now there are these unwarranted tariff wars that is directly impacting us, knowing that we do agriculture big in Texas. We do everything bigger in Texas, but we do ag big, and understanding that we are hitting record-breaking bankruptcy filings by our farmers. Listen, my message is real simple. I'm looking out for you, your survival, and the survival of your kids as it relates to affordability, being able to actually go and access healthcare, being able to send your child to school, being able to afford a roof over your head. If that's not, what Trump supporters want, then fine. Then they absolutely won't listen to me. But I'm here for the everyday person, the person that's not the billionaire on the list that Trump has decided to take care of, but the people that he left sitting out in the cold, just like he did when he decided to be sworn in, and he decided that Inauguration Day, he would have it inside while so many of his loyal supporters were outside.
Well, duh. No shit. But you don't need to in Texas? But make no mistake, folks, she'll embarrass herself in the worst way. Her one final act before being shown the door forever, moving on to her next money grab and grift, possibly, probably, or maybe going to jail. But just more hypocrisy that we've all gotten so used to from Crockett's foul-mouthed anti-Trump rants and her calling him Timu Hitler. But she's the one with scandals, hiding millions in stocks, FEC straw donor probes, calling the Supreme Court trash while rocking glued on Dollar Tree lashes. I mean, she's a fraud who claimed to represent Botham Jean's family pro bono, but she didn't. And even confessed to Charlemagne on the Breakfast Club podcast that if she hits her numbers, if she hits them numbers, she's out, cashing her check and telling all her party constituents and voters, y'all can kiss her black ass. But I feel as though we've all had enough of her, and this horse is dead and there ain't no sense in beating it anymore. So in conclusion, folks, this is how Trump was right. The GOP emerges victorious. Crockett's a grifter heading for humiliation. Her Senate bid is a godsend for Republicans, as others have already pointed out, only further exposing just how radical Dems are. Jasmine, she's not electable. She's just delusional.